X-Men Origins Wolverine might be one of the most infamous superhero films of all time, not just because people consider it to be a terrible superhero film, but because some people consider it to be the worst X-Men movie of all time. And I'm not sure if it's my least favorite, but I can see why other people do, especially because of what this could have been. This could have been awesome. This could have been one of the best origin films ever because it's about Wolverine, arguably the most popular X-Men character, not just in movies, but in the comic books. David Benioff was hired to write the script back in 2004. Apparently, he was a big fan of the character and the comic books. He was basing this off of Frank Miller's Weapon X story. Even Hugh Jackman was collaborating with him on the script because he wanted this to be more of a character piece. He wanted it to focus more on the emotional aspects of what it's like to be the character. Until Skip Woods was hired to rewrite the script, and this is where you fucked up, Fox. You hired the guy that wrote the Hitman movie to come in and redo what we had, what we could have had. The film is directed by Gavin Hood, who normally I would seek out the director almost first when it comes to these bad movies and blame him and shit all over him. But what I read from what Gavin Hood had to go through with the Fox producers, how much of his stuff was changed or how much he was forced to put stuff in that he didn't really want to do, I feel bad for this fucking guy. I do. This isn't as much of his fault as you might think. At the beginning of the movie, you see in 1845, James Howlett, who is a young Wolverine, he watches his father get killed by this guy in their house. His mutation appears, and these bone claws come out of his hands, and he uses the rage to kill this man, who we find out is named Thomas. Thomas reveals before his death that he is James's father. So I don't know what the point of all of this drama is at the very beginning of the film and why it's just sort of randomly there, only to not really go anywhere. Are we trying to establish that the mother was a whore and cheating on this guy? Are we trying to establish that Thomas was misunderstood and he was killed for the wrong reason? Is it just more darkness and sadness to place on Wolverine's head because he killed his biological father? All of the above, I guess. So him and his brother Victor run out into the woods, and I guess they just live on their own. But no need to see that because we skip ahead to a montage of an already grown up Hugh Jackman, Wolverine, Logan, and his brother Victor. They're fighting in various world wars, and even in the Vietnam War, we see Victor. Hell, he tries to rape a woman. This is pretty hardcore. This is pretty intense. This is pretty effed up. But Logan, being his brother, he helps him because a superior officer tried to stop Victor, and Victor killed the officer, so all of the soldiers gained up on them. They get sentenced to death and execution by a firing squad, but of course, because of their mutant abilities, they can't die, so they don't die. And honestly, this whole montage scenes of them in the wars is the best parts of the movie. This film should have been all about them in the war, what it was like, honestly, from the beginning, what it was like for these two brothers to live out in the woods or live out on their own. Were they going around killing animals to eat and survive? Did they have to kill people? How much of animals did they have to become? But we don't get that. Or if you're going to make it about the war, or various wars, we could have seen what it would have been like to have lived through all of this fighting and killing. What it was like to maybe be in a war if you don't agree completely with the suffering going on or with the side that you're fighting for. Maybe there's more character stuff there. Maybe they had to constantly change their identity or change who they were each and every time. Maybe there's a reason why they willingly joined each war, because it's all they knew how to do was to kill. But again, we don't delve into that. There's no inner workings or getting in the thoughts of these characters. Why would we want to do that? That's where we meet William Stryker, who is played by Danny Huston, who is a decent enough actor. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he's horrible or he sucks, but he's not the William Stryker from X-Men 2. That was a William Stryker that was fascinating, that was both scary and you wanted to see what this guy was going to do next, and his connection to Wolverine's past, the mystery behind it. It was all too perfect, but of course this movie is going to screw it all up. He offers the two of them to join his team, Team X, and they don't really have anything else to do, so they do it. And in this team, that's where we meet Wade Wilson. Sound familiar? Yes, this is Ryan Reynolds appearing as Deadpool, technically, because he's not in the Deadpool costume. He's not fully formed Deadpool yet, but he is very much Wade Wilson. It's Ryan Reynolds being jokey, being goofy, being very funny, stealing these scenes that he's in constantly. He instantly, you go, yeah, this is a guy that I want to see what a movie with him would be like. Even if you don't know the character, if you knew nothing about Deadpool, you would want to see more of what this guy has to offer. And even his skill and how much of a badass he is with the swords and the katanas, and he's going around cutting up bullets as they're being shot at him. And you find out that the team Stryker is looking for adamantium, this rare metal around the world, and they end up in Africa, and they're doing a lot of dangerous stuff. They're threatening to kill people. That's where Logan decides he no longer wants to be a part of this group. It's too dangerous for him. He does not like these people, so he leaves them behind. And in that shot of Wolverine leaving the group and they're standing there at the colony, there's a deleted scene of a young Storm, which this is another example of how this movie just tried to shove so much stuff, almost rapid fire. Shove as much as you can into one movie. Thankfully, they took it out because somebody with a brain realized that Storm would not have met Wolverine when she was that young and then forget it. In the X-Men movies where they actually do meet and there is no mention of this or no interaction of a past. But hey, she's a character people recognize, so I guess somebody thought it would work. 6 years later. So we're like 25 minutes, maybe, into this movie, and we've already gone through decades upon decades, almost a century of history with the character. We jump ahead another 6 years, and Logan is now a logger in Canada, and he's living the simple, normal life. He has a girlfriend, Lynn Collins. She plays Silver Fox, and she has this scene with Logan where she tells him this story about this character, Cuckoo, Kachu, Kilowaku, whatever the hell this character is named, talking about howling at the moon for his lost love and blah, blah, blah. That's where he comes up with the name Wolverine. Great! Don't you love an origin story or a prequel story where they want to explain where the character gets their name, but when you get the explanation, it's one of the lamest, dumbest explanations that you've ever seen? Yeah, that's what this was. Cuckoo Kachu got screwed, and that's how Wolverine got his name. So William Stryker randomly shows up at Logan's job and tells him that somebody is killing off members of the old team. I wonder who it is. I wonder if Stryker is involved or if he's lying. Since we already know that Stryker is a bad guy from the other X-Men movie, is it really supposed to be a surprise that he's shady and that he can't be trusted? What the hell? Wolverine doesn't want anything to do with it, though, until Victor shows up and he kills Silver Fox. In the scene where Logan finds her dead body and screams out into the sky. It's pretty amusing. It's pretty comical. Look, I appreciate Hugh Jackman's willingness to make himself look dumb or to put himself out there. And he tried to make it work, but since we didn't spend all that much time with this girl and give a shit about her and their relationship, it doesn't hold much weight. In fact, I was more interested in the moment where Wolverine was having nightmares of every war he's been in, of every person he's killed, and he woke up and clawed the hell out of the bed, which she luckily wasn't laying next to him, because otherwise he would have just killed her. Oops. And they say it as if he's been dealing with this and that they're used to it. Again, give me that movie. So Wolverine, when he realizes that it's Victor, he goes to the bar. The two of them have this standoff where this is one of, I think, three, maybe four moments where Wolverine and Victor charge at each other, run at each other, and it becomes comical after a while. It really does. Liev Schreiber, I think, is a great actor, and I actually really love him as Victor. I know continuity wise, why are we paying attention to continuity with an X-Men film? I know, but Victor is supposed to be Sabretooth. And in the first X-Men movie, we saw Sabretooth, and not only did he look nothing like Liev Schreiber, but it does not match up. There is no mention about them being half brothers. There is no history or connection like this, even from Victor's point of view. In fact, I don't even know if Victor says anything in that first X-Men movie compared to this one. So after Wolverine gets his ass kicked, he gets an offer from Stryker. Hey, you can get your revenge on Victor if you join my Weapon X program. Oh, so before I get to that though, there is a scene where Victor goes to a classroom and goes after Cyclops. Yes, a young teenage high school Cyclops, Scott Summers, is in this movie. Why? I don't know. Maybe they felt bad for killing Cyclops off in X-Men The Last Stand, and somebody thought, hey, let's give this character a bone. Even though it's non-sequential, even though it doesn't really make sense for him to be here, even though you could have taken his scenes out and taken him out as a character and it wouldn't have changed the plot, wouldn't have made a difference. It's pure fan service, and hey, sometimes fan service works well with me. Sometimes I love it. But this, no, this is just lazy. This is just dumb. So the Weapon X program, you see Wolverine being put into the tank, put into the water. He overhears Agent Zero and Stryker talk about wiping his memory. And that's when he freaks out, gets angry, escapes after the adamantium metal was injected into his bones. So he is the Wolverine that we now know and love. And him coming out and fighting all these soldiers and dodging all these bullets and killing people left and right, if he really is even doing that, it comes off so tame. Whereas if you see the flashbacks of X-Men 2, where they touch on his origin, they have him having dreams and nightmares about being turned into this monster and going around killing people. Hell, there's one shot, especially, of Wolverine with the blades in his hands. He's looking at them and screaming like he's a monster. He's covered in blood, so you know that he's killed a bunch of people. It's so horrific. It's so sad and tragic that to compare it to this and what's actually happened, no, you ruined it. You took away all of that emotional impact. You took away all of that pathos of what the character could have been going through or what he just experienced, just to have a generic, uninteresting, not cool, pretty boring action scene. And what happens? He jumps off of the ledge into the water because why not? He shows up on a farm where this old couple, I guess, take him in and want to take care of him. Very reminiscent of the Kents for Superman. And I have to talk about the scene where Wolverine is in their bathroom and he's looking in the mirror and his claws come out. Holy crap! Is this CGI horrible? This is some of the worst CGI I have ever seen. Ever! I don't understand how the Claws in X-Men 1, almost 10 years prior, back when CGI wasn't even a thing like that. And yet those claws look 100 times better than the bullshit I'm staring at right now. This is atrocious. This is somebody better have been fired over letting this shot, letting this render go through. Clearly, they weren't done. Clearly, the effects weren't there yet. And it's baffling. It's baffling that a movie that cost this much, a movie that was made by such a big studio, a movie that you would think has a lot riding on it, was made with scenes like this. Wow. And it's goofy because you have Wolverine accidentally cutting stuff up. He cuts the radiator, cuts the toilet, yada yada. It's supposed to be funny. Ha ha ha. He goes downstairs. He tells them. He swears he's going to pay for it. They don't seem to care, though. They're some of the nicest people ever. In fact, they give Wolverine his classic leather jacket. Because, again, we need to know just where in the world Wolverine got that jacket. It's very important. It's a big moment in this character's history. And then Agent Zero kills the couple, kills them both dead. And I would feel bad if Logan didn't do this a lot better as far as a family taking Wolverine in and then being killed for their niceness. So Wolverine chases after Agent Zero in a moment where the barn blows up and he just so happens to zoom out on the motorcycle. There's a big motorcycle chase scene that, okay, it's there. He jumps off and lands on the side of the helicopter and it's flying around and it's just, I'm sitting here looking at this like, who is this supposed to be for? Who's supposed to care about any of this? Then the helicopter lands and he kills Agent Zero. A big explosion happens. You have the moment where Wolverine walks away from an explosion. I know this was the cool thing to do in the 80s and maybe even the 90s, but at this point, in 2009, I believe, you're still doing the walk away from an explosion scene, especially when the green screen background doesn't look like he's ever anywhere close to fire. And we have another scene, another random scene of Logan going to meet the Blob. The Blob was a member of the old team, and now he's fat though. And the big whole joke of this scene is that Wolverine calls him Bub, which is something he says in the comics. But the Blob mishears it as Blob, gets mad, and so the two of them have a boxing scene. Why? I don't know. Because we need to fill time. We need to have a half-ass reason for another fight scene, action scene. Oh yeah, and will.i.am is here. will.i.am, a member of Black Eyed Peas, I'm sure you've seen before. Not a good actor. Oh no, he should not be in movies. Stay away from films just all the time, please. So they get information from the Blob about this mutant who might know where Stryker is, and the mutant is named Gambit. Holy crap, Gambit is in this movie. I almost forgot. He's played by Taylor Kitsch, and Gambit is one of my favorite X-Men characters from the cartoons especially. It's the cool demeanor that he has, the Cajun accent, the cool card trick that always looked cinematic, especially in the cartoons. And they've been trying to bring this character into an X-Men film almost every movie of these three films that have come out by this point. So you're doing a prequel that takes place so many years later. This is the movie that you decide to bring Gambit in, now negating the fact that he could never be an X-Men in the later continuity, in the later timeline, because of his age, of where he is in this timeline. It was disheartening. It was sad. It was annoying. Taylor Kitsch, I think it's a bad rap as far as people saying that he was bad in this. More so because he had that 1 year where he had 3 horrible movies come out almost back to back. John Carter being one of them. and Battleship being the other. But I don't think he's all that bad here. I think he looks the part. I think he sounds enough like Gambit to keep me satisfied. I like the moment where Wolverine goes up to him at the poker table and he finds out who he is and his eyes go red, and that's where we get a fight scene between Gambit and Wolverine. It doesn't last long though, because Logan versus Victor Part 2 happens where they run at each other in the alleyway, and Gambit seems to be here just to be here. Every time he tries to do something or tries to involve himself, he gets knocked down by Wolverine. He gets kind of bitched out to make it seem like he doesn't belong there, or he has nothing, no reason, no purpose in this scene, just to make him look goofy. Then he finally does do something. He finally does have a quick fight with Wolverine. Wolverine once again just bitches him out. And another horrible looking CGI shot of Wolverine clawing at the ladder that Gambit is standing on. Holy crap, this is terrible. This is terrible. So bad. So very bad. So Gambit decides to help Wolverine. Before then, let me just mention that Victor kills Will.i.am, in case anyone gives a shit. So Gambit takes Logan to the island by helicopter, and when Logan gets there, he finds out that Silver Fox is still alive. Remember her? No? Okay, well, she was his girlfriend, somebody that we were supposed to give a shit about. You find out that she lied about their relationship, I guess. You find out that she's a mutant who, if she touches you, she can put thoughts into your head and make you do whatever she wants or tells you to do. Thus, telling us that the whole relationship with Wolverine was a lie. It was a complete lie. And he is upset about it. He's broken up about it. And this is the moment where if you're going to do this, then just commit to it. Have Silver Fox be the villain. Have her be just yet another person that Wolverine has to kill. And make it a badass moment. But no. You have to have her turn around and say to Stryker, okay, so I did what you asked. Now, can my sister be let go? So she's working for Stryker. She's actually is a good person. She's not evil. She's not a villain. She was only doing this because her sister is captured, and there's even a moment where she talks to Wolverine and she suggests that she did actually have feelings for him and that she never used her powers on him. So what was the point of any of this? Couldn't we have got to this same point in the story a much easier, a less convoluted way? Maybe so, but these writers certainly didn't care to. Logan goes to leave only for Victor to complain that he wants the Weapon X surgery as well, and Stryker tells him that he couldn't handle it. This is all weird though, because he gets angry. Victor gets angry. He grabs Silver Fox to threaten to kill her, which Stryker doesn't give a shit. Logan, as he's leaving, hears her scream and turns back around and goes back inside. Why? This is the woman who lied to you, who misused you, who knows if anything that she said about still being in love with you was true. And so he comes back to save her, and the two of them have yet another standoff where they run at each other, because why not? And during this fight, we find out that Weapon 11 was created. Weapon 11 is Deadpool, just not the Deadpool that we recognize. Man, look, I'll be honest, when I saw this in the theater, I didn't hate this movie. In fact, I thought it was fun. I had fun with it. But let's be fair, I was like 18 years old. So I wasn't nearly as critical or as worried about plot points and stuff making sense as I would be nowadays. But even back then in the theater, I hated this moment. I hated seeing Ryan Reynolds with his mouth sewed shut. It just didn't make a lick of sense. This is Deadpool. This is a character who is known for being the merc with the mouth. That's his nickname in the comic books. Why in the hell would anybody want to sew his mouth shut? I know that Stryker did it because Wade was annoying, and Wolverine even says he found a way to finally shut you up. Like, I get the joke. This is totally misguided, Totally just in the wrong direction. I swear, I hope whoever the producer of this movie was, whoever's idea it was to do this to Deadpool and make him look like shit, should be fired and never allowed to work in Hollywood ever again. Or at least in superhero films, but I still have to question their storytelling technique when it comes to really anything. So we get a fight with Wolverine and Deadpool that goes on for a while. You reveal that Deadpool has a lot of the same abilities, not only of Wolverine with the healing factor, and he has these long blades that come out of his forearms and wrists, which I don't even know how that works. Like, how does he bend his elbows and arms like that? It's so awkward and so weird if you think about it. Couldn't he just have katanas with him? No, they had to grow out of his arms. He also has Cyclops' abilities. He has a bunch of people's abilities. And then Victor, Leo Schreiber, shows up to help Wolverine. Why? I don't know. They literally were just fighting not 10 minutes ago, and now he wants to help him. I know he says, it's my little brother. Nobody gets to kill him but me. Hardy har har. It still doesn't make a lick of sense. We get a moment where Wolverine, because he gets his claws heated up by the heat vision, he is able to cut Deadpool's head off. So I guess Deadpool is dead, sort of. Silver Fox helps break the mutants out of their cells, and that's where you see Emma Frost is her sister. Emma Frost, another big X-Men character who's just randomly thrown into this movie, really for no reason. She is trying to help them out, but she gets shot, and the most cliched moment where a character tells other characters to keep going, I'm right behind you, I'll catch up, only to reveal from their hand that they're bleeding and they're gonna die. Wow, the cliches are endless with the film. So you see Cyclops and Emma Frost trying to guide through. Cyclops' eyes are covered, and she wonders how does he know where to go. It's revealed that Professor Xavier was in Cyclops' head, and he just randomly on his own showed up to save these mutants. Okay, why not? And oh yeah, remember that special effect of making Patrick Stewart, Professor Xavier, younger looking from X-Men The Last Stand? Well, they used it again here, but somehow it looks even worse. How? This is 3 years later, and the effects of young Xavier look terrible. I would not want to go home with a dude who looks as creepy and as weird looking as he does. Stryker ends up shooting Wolverine in the head with adamantium bullets. Oy vey. When they revealed earlier in the film that there were adamantium bullets, I know it makes sense if you want to say that you just use that, and because of that, that's the only way to kill Wolverine. But to have these bullets be the only way that he loses his memory is one of the dumbest explanations for how Wolverine lost his memory that I have ever seen. It's simple. It's already in the story. You already had it in the script. You could have just had Wolverine get his mind wiped, his mind erased during the procedure, which is what I always thought happened from X-Men 2 and that flashback. I figured that was how he lost it. This explanation of him getting shot in the head twice, and that's why he doesn't have his memory, is so dumb. It's so terrible. I can't stress enough. I can't just gloss over this. I can't just pretend like this isn't a big deal. This is absolutely horrible. This is some of the worst steaming, stinking piles of dog shit written on screen of all time. Silver Fox, though, touches Stryker as she's dying, tells him to walk away, and then she dies. There's a moment later on where the authorities find Stryker and tell him that he's going to be charged with murder because he killed somebody earlier in the movie. But who gives a shit about that, because we know that he ends up back where he is in X-Men 2. So pointless. Gambit arrives after Wolverine was shot, so when Wolverine wakes up, He doesn't know who Gambit is. He freaks out on him. Gambit tells him his name and says, I know you. I brought you here. I'm a friend. And they look over and they see Silver Fox and they don't know who she is. Wolverine doesn't remember her. But even though Gambit says that I know who you are, that I brought you here, that I can get us away off of this island, Wolverine still doesn't go with him and just runs off on his own. Why? Look, guys, I know that Wolverine is supposed to end up by himself, alone, and lost, and stranded, and not knowing his memories, but you can't present him an opportunity where there's somebody there that knows him and that could help him get these memories back, and then he chooses not to go with them. It just makes him look incompetent and dumb, just like many things. So the movie ends. Great. Wow. I feel a lot more connected, a lot closer to Wolverine as a character than I did before. No, I don't. There is a post-credit scene, I guess I should talk about it, where Deadpool is revealed to still be alive. He's holding his head, his decapitated head, and he shushes the camera to show that his mouth is exposed. This is how they really thought they would spin off the Deadpool character. Not only looking like this, but where would you go? Would he have duct tape around his neck? Like, why was this the choice to make Deadpool this way and then go from there? There's an alternate post-credit scene of Wolverine in Japan drinking beer, and he's saying he's drinking to remember. That's actually a good character scene, but every character scene, no, it gets deleted, it gets taken out. F that mess. Who cares about character beats? No, we just want action. And that's what this movie's good for, right? Action. Action, action, action. Fuck this movie. Fuck X-Men Origins Wolverine. Yeah, this sucks. This sucks pretty bad. It might not get me as mad as X-Men 3, or it might not be as boring as X-Men Apocalypse, but this is pretty brutal. This is pretty frustrating at times to watch. So guys, let me know in the comments below, what do you think of X-Men Origins Wolverine? Do you agree that it completely reeks of suctitude, or do you think that I was being too hard on it? And if that's the case, tell me why. Why in the blue hell would you defend this? Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Later.